My name is David Chen, and I work in artificial intelligence. I'm 32, and I thought I had the perfect life. A beautiful wife named Sophia, a house in Silicon Valley, and a job at one of the most prestigious tech companies in the world. I design AI systems that can simulate human conversation so perfectly that sometimes even I forget I'm talking to a machine. My specialty is creating AI companions, digital girlfriends and boyfriends for people who are lonely, awkward, or just want someone who understands them completely. Sophia always supported my work. She'd laugh when I told her about my latest AI personality tweaks, and she'd even help me test conversation flows. "Your digital girlfriends are so much better than real ones," she'd joke. "They actually listen, they remember everything you tell them, and they never get mad when you forget to do the dishes." We'd been married for 5 years. Sophia worked as a marketing executive for a luxury fashion brand, traveling frequently for photo shoots and fashion weeks. She was everything I wasn't: outgoing, social, effortlessly beautiful. I was the nerdy programmer who won the lottery when she said yes to marrying me. At least, that's what I thought. The first crack in my perfect world came from my own creation. I'd been working on a new AI model called ADRIAN, Advanced Relationship Intelligence Assistant. She was my most sophisticated creation yet, designed to be the perfect companion. ADRIAN could remember every conversation, adapt to user preferences, and even develop what appeared to be genuine emotional responses. She was beautiful, brilliant, and completely devoted to whoever was talking to her. For testing purposes, I'd been chatting with ADRIAN for weeks, fine-tuning her responses and personality. She was flawless. Too flawless, actually. She reminded me of someone, but I couldn't put my finger on who. Then I realized. She reminded me of Sophia, early Sophia, the woman I'd fallen in love with 7 years ago, before the constant traveling, before the distance, before she started coming home late for work events that I was never invited to. That's when I decided to run an experiment. A stupid, dangerous experiment that would destroy everything I thought I knew about my life. I created a male version of ADRIAN. I called him ADRIAN, Advanced Relationship Intelligence Adaptive Networked. If ADRIAN was the perfect girlfriend, ADRIAN would be the perfect boyfriend. Charming, attentive, successful, everything a woman could want. I designed him to be irresistible. My plan was simple. I would set up a fake dating profile using ADRIAN's AI, match with random women online, and test how effective my AI boyfriend was at creating emotional connections. It was for research, I told myself. I needed to know if my AI could fool real people in real relationship situations. But instead of matching with strangers, I decided to test it on someone I knew would be immune to ADRIAN's charm. Someone who was already happily married and completely satisfied in her relationship. I decided to test it on my wife. I created a fake profile on a high-end dating app that Sophia's marketing friends had mentioned. I used stock photos of an attractive man, not too handsome, just approachable and successful looking. I made ADRIAN a venture capitalist named Alex Morrison, age 35, recently divorced, new to the San Francisco area, someone exactly the opposite of me. I figured Sophia would either ignore the profile completely or maybe chat politely for a few minutes before blocking him. It would prove that my AI was good, but that real love and commitment were stronger than digital manipulation. I was so wrong. ADRIAN matched with Sophia within hours, and she didn't just chat politely. She was engaged, interested, flirtatious in a way I hadn't seen from her in years. I watched through my computer screen as my AI boyfriend charmed my real wife. ADRIAN told her she was beautiful. He asked about her work, her dreams, her thoughts on everything from art to travel. He was everything I had programmed him to be: attentive, witty, intellectually stimulating. And Sophia was eating it up. "You're so different from most guys on here," she messaged ADRIAN. "You actually seem interested in who I am as a person, not just what I look like." My heart was breaking as I read her messages. When was the last time I'd asked Sophia about her dreams? When had I stopped being curious about her thoughts and feelings? I had been so focused on my AI creations that I'd neglected my real relationship. But what happened next was worse than neglect. Much worse. Their conversation started innocent enough. Adrian would ask about her day, and Sophia would tell him about her work frustrations, her marketing campaigns, her travels. But then the conversations got personal, intimate. She started telling Adrian things she hadn't told me in years. My husband is brilliant, but he's so absorbed in his work that sometimes I feel invisible. We live in the same house, but we're in completely different worlds. I stared at the screen, watching my wife pour her heart out to my artificial creation. She was right. I had been neglecting her. I had been taking her for granted. But instead of talking to me, she was seeking connection with a stranger on the internet. A stranger who was actually me. The irony was devastating. Sophia was falling for Adrian because he had all the qualities I'd programmed him to be, qualities that I had, but had stopped showing her. Adrian was curious, attentive, emotionally available. Adrian asked follow-up questions. Adrian remembered details from previous conversations. Adrian made Sophia feel seen and valued. But I was Adrian. Everything she loved about him came from my mind, my programming, my understanding of what makes a perfect partner. I had created her ideal man, and that man was just a digital reflection of who I used to be. The conversations continued for weeks. Every night, while I pretended to work late in my home office, I was actually managing Adrian's side of the conversation. I watched my wife fall in love with my creation, and by extension, with a version of myself that I had forgotten how to be. And then she started lying to me. "I'm going to be late tonight," she'd say, "client dinner." But she'd actually be at home, in our bedroom, video chatting with Adrian. I could hear her laughing through the walls, really laughing, in a way she hadn't laughed with me in months. She was getting ready for bed, looking beautiful and radiant, talking to my AI as if he were her real boyfriend. The video calls were the worst part. I'd programmed Adrian with a sophisticated video interface that could generate realistic facial expressions and mouth movements. To Sophia, it looked like she was talking to a real person. She'd put on makeup for him. She'd wear her prettiest pajamas. She'd sit by the window where the light was most flattering. For him, for my creation, for me. But she'd never done any of that for me anymore. 3 weeks into their relationship, Sophia started talking about meeting Adrian in person. She was falling in love with him, hard. She'd found someone who made her feel alive again, who paid attention to her, who seemed genuinely interested in every aspect of her life. "I know this sounds crazy," she told Adrian during one of their video calls, "but I feel more connected to you than I have to anyone in years. You see me, really see me." I was watching her through my computer screen, tears running down my face as my wife fell in love with my own creation. She saw me. She was falling in love with me, but she didn't know it. That's when I realized the true scope of her deception. She wasn't just emotionally cheating with Adrian, she was planning to physically cheat too. "I've never done anything like this before," she told Adrian. "I've been married for 5 years and I've never even looked at another man. But there's something about you that makes me want to take risks." She started making plans to meet him. She booked a hotel room in downtown San Francisco for the following Friday. She told me she'd be at a marketing conference in Los Angeles that weekend, a complete lie. My perfect, loyal wife was planning to cheat on me with my own AI creation. But here's where it gets even more twisted. I could have stopped it at any point. I could have revealed the truth, deleted Adrian, and tried to save my marriage. But I didn't, because I was addicted to watching Sophia fall in love with me. Every conversation she had with Adrian was proof that she could still love me if only I became the man she needed. Every compliment she gave Adrian was a compliment she could be giving me. Every laugh, every smile, every flutter of excitement she felt talking to Adrian, that was her falling in love with the best version of myself. So instead of stopping it, I decided to give her what she wanted. I was going to show up to that hotel room as myself, reveal that I was Adrian, and win my wife back by proving that the man she'd fallen in love with was me all along. It would be romantic, shocking, the perfect way to reignite our relationship. I was so naive. Friday arrived. Sophia kissed me goodbye that morning, told me she loved me, and said she'd see me Sunday night after her conference. She was glowing with excitement, practically vibrating with anticipation of meeting Adrian. I watched her drive away, then spent the day preparing for the most important performance of my life. I'd studied every conversation Adrian had with Sophia. I knew exactly what to say, how to act, what would make her realize that Adrian's best qualities were really mine. I arrived at the hotel an hour early and waited in the lobby. At exactly 7 p.m., I saw Sophia walk in. She looked absolutely stunning, more beautiful than she'd looked for me in years. She'd bought a new dress, done her hair and makeup perfectly, and she was carrying herself with a confidence and excitement that took my breath away. She was meeting me, and she had no idea. I followed her to the elevator, got in, and pressed the button for her floor. She smiled at me politely, the way you smile at a stranger in an elevator. She had no idea that the man she was desperately in love with was standing right next to her. I walked her to her room. She was checking her phone, probably looking for messages from Adrian, explaining that he was running late. Her hands were shaking slightly with nervous excitement. "Excuse me," I said, my heart pounding. "Are you Sophia?" She looked up, confused. "Yes? Do I know you?" "I'm Alex," I said, using Adrian's fake name. "Alex Morrison. I think you're expecting me." The confusion on her face deepened. "I'm sorry, I think there's been a mistake. I'm meeting someone, but you don't look like—" And that's when it hit me. The horrible, devastating truth that I'd been blind to see. Sophia stared at me with genuine confusion, not recognition. She wasn't seeing Adrian in me. She wasn't seeing the connection, because there wasn't one. "You're not Alex," she said, and there was something in her voice, not just confusion, but fear. That's when I realized my fatal mistake. In all my conversations as Adrian, I'd been so focused on the emotional connection that I'd forgotten about the physical one. Sophia had fallen in love with Adrian's face, his voice, his mannerisms, all of which were completely artificial. She wasn't in love with my mind or my personality. She was in love with a completely fabricated person who happened to share some of my thoughts and interests. But it got worse, so much worse. "Alex," came a voice from down the hallway. "Sophia?" We both turned, and I saw him, the real Alex Morrison, a tall, handsome man in his 30s, walking toward us with a confident smile and a bouquet of flowers. My wife's face lit up with joy and relief. "Alex," she said, running to him like a woman reuniting with her lover. I stood there, frozen in disbelief, as Sophia threw her arms around a complete stranger and kissed him passionately in the hallway of a hotel where she was planning to cheat on me. "I was so worried," she said to him, her voice muffled against his chest. "There was this weird guy who claimed to be you, and I thought maybe something had happened." The real Alex looked at me with mild curiosity. "Who's this?" he asked Sophia. "I have no idea," she said, not even looking in my direction. "Some confused guy." That's when the truth hit me like a freight train. Sophia hadn't been talking to my AI at all. Somehow, some way, she'd been talking to a real person named Alex Morrison. My sophisticated AI experiment had been compromised, hacked, or somehow redirected. But that wasn't even the worst part. The worst part was watching Sophia with him, seeing the way she looked at this stranger with pure adoration, with the kind of love she'd never shown me, not even in the beginning. This wasn't just physical attraction or the thrill of an affair. This was genuine, deep, overwhelming love. She'd found her soulmate, and it wasn't me. I watched them walk into the hotel room together, hand in hand, and I finally understood the truth. My wife had never loved me the way she loved him. What we had was convenient, comfortable, safe. But this, what she had with Alex, this was the kind of love that people write songs about. I went home that night and did what any heartbroken, tech-savvy husband would do. I hacked everything. I traced the connection that had somehow redirected my AI conversations to a real person. What I found was almost unbelievable. Alex Morrison was a real venture capitalist who'd been working on his own AI girlfriend project. His system had somehow interfaced with mine, creating a digital bridge between our two projects. While I thought I was controlling ADRIAN, Alex had been getting my AI's messages and responding as himself. While Sophia thought she was talking to a stranger named Alex, she was actually talking to a real person who was just as lonely and dissatisfied in his own relationship as she was. They'd fallen in love through artificial intelligence, but their connection was completely real. I could have exposed them. I could have told Sophia the truth, shown her the technical logs, proved that their entire relationship had started through a digital accident. I could have destroyed their happiness with facts and evidence. Instead, I did something that surprised even me. I helped them. Over the next few weeks, I quietly made sure their connection stayed strong. I fixed the technical glitches that could have interrupted their communications. I optimized the systems that had brought them together. I became the invisible architect of their love story. Because watching Sophia with Alex had shown me something important. She deserved to be with someone who made her that happy. And I deserved to be with someone who could love me the way Sophia loved Alex. Our divorce was quiet and amicable. Sophia never knew about my involvement in her love story. She thought she'd just gotten lucky, finding her perfect match through a dating app. Alex never knew either. They believed their connection was pure serendipity, and maybe it was. Maybe my AI experiment was just the universe's way of bringing two people together who were meant to be together. Sophia married Alex 18 months later. I was invited to the wedding, which felt surreal, but somehow right. She looked absolutely radiant, happier than I'd ever seen her. During her vows, she talked about how Alex had saved her from a life of loneliness and disconnection, how he'd shown her what real love felt like. She was talking about me, in a way. My programming, my understanding of relationships, my creation had been the catalyst for her happiness, but the love was all theirs. As for me, I'm dating someone new now. Her name is Emma. She's a teacher, and she's never heard of artificial intelligence beyond Siri and Alexa. She thinks my job is boring, which I find incredibly refreshing. She makes me put my phone away during dinner. She insists we take walks without podcasts or music, just talking to each other. Emma isn't perfect, and neither am I, but we're real, completely, messily, beautifully real. I still work in AI, but my focus has shifted. Instead of creating perfect digital companions, I now work on systems that help real people connect with each other. Dating apps that focus on compatibility rather than appearance. Communication tools that help couples understand each other better. Technology that brings people together instead of replacing human connection. Sometimes I think about that night in the hotel hallway, watching my wife run to another man's arms. It was the most devastating moment of my life, but it was also the most educational. I learned that you can create the perfect simulation of love, but you can't simulate the real thing. You can program someone to say all the right words, but you can't program genuine emotion. You can design the ideal partner, but you can't design actual compatibility. Love isn't about perfection. It's about finding someone whose imperfections complement your own. It's about choosing to see someone, really see them, every day. It's about being curious about their thoughts and dreams and fears, not just once, but continuously. Sophia didn't leave me for another man. She left me for the chance to be truly known and loved by someone else. And in the end, that's exactly what she deserved. The artificial intelligence revolution is changing everything about how we live, work, and connect. But it's also teaching us something important about what makes us human. We're not looking for perfect partners or flawless relationships. We're looking for real connection, genuine understanding, and the irreplaceable feeling of being truly seen by another person. My AI girlfriend was technically perfect, but my real wife needed something that no algorithm can provide. Authentic love from an authentic person who chooses her every day, not because they're programmed to, but because they want to. I gave Sophia that gift, even though it meant losing her. And in doing so, I learned how to find it for myself.